in ArcGIS. And that's how you will used to kind of using the entire workflow. And that has been pretty popular, pretty common way to get things done from the GIS perspective, from the inspection perspective for your site. Now, few years back, we had the advent of autonomous drone dogs. And properly, it kind of the adoption came in when we had the DJI dog into the market. So what the industry did, they actually adopted the same workflow that they used to do with the manual drones. Instead of multi-operator, it probably became to a single person who's doing everything probably, but still adopted a manual workflow where you fly using autonomous dog. You're still using a native software that comes with that autonomous dog. You fly those missions, capture all those images, maybe then download it from cloud, and then go to a software, upload it, and then finally make it to ArcGIS. But this is not the way to use autonomy. This is where we have to come and have an end-to-end solution. And this is what the topic is about today, of getting into the next stage of the inspection or the GIS workflows. So today we are happy to announce that we'll be showing you a completely end-to-end autonomous workflow where you can leverage Flightbase, the site scan Flink to process the data into site scan, send the data site scan autonomously, and then get it to ArcGIS itself. And to talk about that a little bit more, let's get some context from Jeremiah that why did we choose to do this and why ST choose to work with Flightbase. And let's learn more about what ST has been cooking up internally with the software and what solution they provide. So over to you, Jeremiah. I'll quickly jump to those parts and probably we can start with your quick introduction, what you do at S3 and what you've been doing over the years, your quick background about drones, how you've seen the industry, and then let's chat about more of the rest of the slides we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. So really quickly, I'm Jeremiah Johnson, and I'm an imagery team lead here at ESRI. And so one of my passions has been imagery. I've started in the industry with aerial data collection with airplanes and helicopters, and then moved into a startup where we learned about how drones could collect a lot of this imagery. We created some software, some autonomous processing software. And now here at ESRI, we're here scaling these drone workflows to users across a lot of industries, some industries I'm going to talk about today. So first, for those of you who are unfamiliar with ESRI, I want to sort of give everybody an intro to the company. So over on the next slide, you'll see our tagline. ESRI is committed to serving our users and helping them do their jobs better, leveraging the power of geography. If you know ESRI, you know GIS. They tend to be synonymous, but if you're unfamiliar with GIS, it stands for Geographic Information Systems. And the core concept is using geospatial data to help understand your business problems and help you solve your business problems. And so obviously, drones and drone technology is a massive data input to solving these problems. The company has a long tenure. It's 55 years old. And here on the next slide, you'll see our founders, Jack and Laura Dangerman. They founded the company in 1969. It's still privately held, so we're able to provide software and workflows for our users for the benefit of our users and nobody else. There are no stakeholders or stockholders that we need to also keep happy. We're here committed to our users. Today, we have over 6,000 employees all over the world with 49 offices globally. Here you can see a map of our users, and the core numbers is some of our key value props are being used by over 33,000 businesses, 12,000 colleges and universities, a bunch of different organizations. And as a whole, we have over 10 million users, over 680,000 organizations around the world using some component of ESRI software. If you are familiar with ESRI, if you are learning about ESRI, if you go to esri.com, you're going to see a tagline. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that tagline because it's going to come up again later. Our next slide is the tagline, the science of where. So what is the science of where? So let's go through that. On the next slide, we have different questions that you might be asking as a business. Where is it? How do I get there? Where am I? Where are we going? Esri is here to solve these questions. We want to provide the answers to these questions, and we call that the science of where. In the next slide, you'll see that we believe in the power of geography. ArcGIS is a core platform that Esri develops. ArcGIS has a number of different applications within it, but at its core, we're trying to bring together the world's best information, science, technology, and creative design thinking to unite thought leaders across organizations, and then from organization to organization to help make everything a lot more efficient. And the next slide, just a really highlight of GIS, Geographic Information Systems. This provides the framework and process. So it starts with data collection. Guess what? That's what we're talking about today. We're going to be talking about data collection. One of the key components of a GIS is accurate, up-to-date information. And so at the top of that funnel, we have data collection, visualization, and mapping. We're going to talk about that today. Analysis and modeling, we're talking about that today. So we're going to be hitting on several of these key concepts of a geographic information system. In the next slide, you'll see that when I talk about ArcGIS, that is this GIS platform that Esri has developed, and we're integrating sources from all over. Today, we're talking about drones, but you can't forget other sources of information that are coming together to help us make better decisions. And then finally, we are continuing to advance. I'm sorry, I skipped the slide. I apologize. So this,
Is this the one?
we're out of sync. All right, we're good. On this slide is where I want to be. So we're continuing to push the bounds of how GIS is being used by organizations. I'm going to show you some really cool workflows here at the end of today's chat that sort of highlight this. But understand that through automation, through high resolution drone imagery, and the analysis that comes on the back end, there are a lot of questions that can be answered automatically in a timely way that it would have been more difficult to answer before. So with that, I'm actually going to hand it back over to, am I going to keep going, Achal?
You can probably go there, and we can quickly go through this, and then probably we can spend some time on the integrations. Probably we can complete this part really quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe I think this comes after the ArcGIS piece of it, right? So let me do those, let me show everybody that what's the workflow going to be. I think that would be a good order for audience to understand. So I think this is great intro, not that this is something people, of course, understand what is ESRI, but good to know again, right, as a entire presentation talks about the impact it has made into the GIS industry, is how it became synonymous with GIS. And when the drones came in, it became a fundamental piece of data collection. And we've been using that for now almost more than 10 years or so, right, since the time the cameras and multicopters came into that picture. And we have seen that entire era of industry has grown there. So one of the, again, points were that you did not have that capability where you're on a site and you are you probably send a pilot, you want to fly a drone, but probably you can do that once a week or once a month, right? And then you get that data. So the time to get that data and the effort that anybody used to put was really lot. And with now advent of autonomous drone dogs, we're seeing that it is going multifold, like 10x more, because you can fly, like you can get your 10 a.m. report, you can get your 5 p.m. report, right? You can fly it for security, you can fly it inspections and so on. So the autonomous drone is becoming an asset. And now when you're looking at those kind of workflows, you need to build that entire autonomy inside the workflows as well. So you can actually leverage this entire piece and generate data. So what I'm going to do it is we'll see this in action of how the side scan Flink looks like in Flightbase. So I'll show you a demo video and then I'll walk you through the two dashboards as well. So allow me a couple of seconds to reshare my screen and let's see that in action. So what we have here is the demo video. A lot of you must be already familiar with Flightbase dashboard. Now with the side scan integration, you can just plug in the API key of your account. We can help you set that up. There's a detailed documentation available. And once that is set up, you can also link up the right project that you want to work on and the data to be stored in ESRI side scan. And then comes the usual stuff that we've been doing, but now it's natively integrated with docking stations. So you have your entire GIS planning inside. You can plan things here. You can import your KML, KMZs, or any other models that you have. So you have all your mission planning seamlessly imported inside Flightbase. But now instead of sending a pilot, you of course have an autonomous drone dock. So what you see on the right side is the drone dock, and now you can see the drone taking off for autonomous drones. Once this is installed on the site, it will capture all the data for you. So you see this big piece of land here where the drone is going and collecting the data, where you can see the live video feed on the screen. Let's go to the cockpit view and get a entire understanding of how the video looks. This is we have split this up so you can quickly we can cover all that. So it's doing its job. You can set all the action items that are required at a particular waypoint and how to capture data with all the specifications that you have, and the drone comes back and land. Now, this is something which could be done with the native software as well, but the step after this becomes tedious because you have gigabytes of data of every mission that needs to be downloaded from cloud and then uploaded to a software, and then you do the processing and so on. But now, with this integration, you can go to a particular folder and say, I want to automate the entire GIS workflow for this. So you'll probably go here, click on share to the Flink, and now you can share it with SiteScan. You can just choose which project do you want to save it to and give that plan a name, say Flightbase side scan demo, and you just hit share. Now with the seamless integration at the backend, the entire workflow has been built where it talks to side scan at the back, verifies all those things with projects, API links, and so on, and then produces. So you can see that it's waiting for image transfer, that high quality images from the drone dock would be automatically available to the base cloud, and it's sent to the S3 side scan. And on the right side, we'll keep seeing, hey, it's still being processed on the integration bar on the right. And once it is processed, you'll see that it has been completed. Right. Of course, it takes about a couple of hours or so, depending upon what you're mapping and creating. But without downloading the data, moving the data, you can transfer that entirely to SiteScan and create your ortho mosaics, 2D, 3D maps entirely in this. And then, of course, we're going to talk to Jeremiah how we can take it from here and what we can do next after this. But this is the game-changing way to do the entire inspection or GIS of the site without being on the site as well. Of course, once you have mapped this, you can import that orthomosaic back again to Flightbase, so you have a real understanding of how your site looks like. And as you do more and more missions on this, you can have a real-time map on the map layer. As you can see, it's currently uploading that entire data. Great. So what we're seeing here is the data being uploaded. You'll see in a second or so that the entire map that we created comes also back to the Flightbase. So now we have an actual imagery rather than the base map. And we can look at it in 2D, 3D, and do more operations to send a drone to a particular point and get more data, more rich data on that particular aspect, and then again use the workflow. So this is a seamless workflow where it saves you entire time, and it actually help you leverage autonomous drones there. Jeremiah, any thoughts on what it brings and what challenges you have seen in the industry and what this would resolve for a lot of customers who have been using manual drones and are looking to automate their operations?
Yeah. So the inevitably, when you have a project, it could be a construction project, it could be a new mapping project. Um, Maybe if you're new to drones, or if this project is new to drones, they'll fly the drone once and they'll be like, oh wow, that's great, maybe we can fly it again next month. And then you'll fly it again next month and be like, oh wow, okay, what if we flew every week? Well, it inevitably, people ask for more and more data. Well, what did the site look like yesterday? What did the site look like this morning before the cement was poured?
Right.
And when people start to see all of this data coming into their platform, they're asking for more. And of course, it's easy to go out and fly a drone once a month, but maybe every day or twice a day, it can be a little bit more time consuming in personnel costs. So having a drone in a box with this autonomous missions that are managed in a back office sort of scenario just makes this data coming in just so much more cost efficient. And don't forget that the quality of the data is a huge contributor to the quality of the information that you're getting out of it. And so having consistent flights over an area helps you have trust in the data and be able to make the best decision using that data.
Yes, absolutely. And the cost of collecting data would, of course, significantly come down, because otherwise you'd have to send a person. So you correctly mentioned that that was something which you probably often do it in once a month or so, but it would tremendously come down, where it probably can come to alternate days or daily itself, where you are collecting this and getting the update. So I'll spend a couple of more minutes or so to just walk you through the real dashboard, how it looks, because there are a lot of people in the audience who have been already using this. So you already saw the video. But say this is one of the sites where we have uh, a dog deployed, and you can see the map already layer there. On the right side, you see the integrations, right? So Flightbase offers several integrations, and now you have SiteScan integration natively available over here. So there, with a simple workflow, once you go to your gallery, you would be able to fetch all that media. Let me probably go to one of the missions there. So this was the mission that we did. You can see all these images. They're pretty kind of large in that terms, and each image is about like 12 MB, and there are like hundreds of images, and this is a relatively small mission, right, just for the sake of a demo. But you can see the quality you can capture and get it here. But now, without this workflow, it'd be very hard to process, and you would not have that kind of a return on investment of using an autonomous drone dog. Now, with this, you can just export this media entirely and create the folder. So I've already exported it. So let me go to the export manager right here. And then you can hit the share button, and you can create shift link, and you can just choose site scan. Once you do that, the autonomous flow kicks in, and you'll automatically generate, and you can see all these reports that we generated here itself, and you can click on view model. That would open in another screen and have the entire map of from those images. So let me show you. This is how the base map looks like. This is what we captured, and it's overlaid here and have everything right here. You can also pull in all the photos. So all the photos that captured on specific waypoints. So these are already loaded and are available right here. So it could be inspecting an asset, you're doing a land survey, you're looking at the cement, or moving how much earth has been moved there. All those things are seamlessly available. Of course, that's the beauty of SiteScan and the entire software, and you'll be able to leverage all the functionalities that the system provides. So this is the quick autonomy workflow that we wanted to demonstrate. I'll pass it back to Jeremiah to talk about, hey, what do we do here from here, right? How do we kind of leverage this workflow now, since we have the superpower available of collecting the data from the site on demand, right? And that's literally on demand at the press of a button, or a scheduled mission that you can do where you'll just get those data before you actually come to the office itself. Right. So let me help you with the screen share. Give me a moment.
Yeah, thank you. If you could just go to slide 25, we'll pick up from there.
Sure. Just give me a second. Yeah. Awesome. Can you
So I
see my
just wanted
screen?
to, yes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show an example of a site that had repeated drone flights. So here inside of SiteScan, you can see all of the drone flights that had taken place on this construction site. What's funny is that this construction site is down in San Diego, and you see an old football stadium that is being converted to a new football stadium. So you're seeing on the swipe tool, the old football stadium on the left. This is where the Chargers used to play. And then the new football stadium on the right. And this is where the college football team plays. And so this is a massive construction project, right? So they're tearing down one piece of infrastructure, building another piece of infrastructure. There's a lot of land earthworks being done. And so drones were a key aspect of this project. And obviously, they're going to be flying drones a lot. Why are they going to be flying drones a lot? Because they were using this drone information to help them with the earthworks and progress tracking through the site. So you can see here, this is a stockpile that they were tracking. Within SiteScan, I can come in and see the volume of this stockpile. So every time the drone flies, I get a more accurate, or I'm sorry, the more up-to-date number of my stockpile tracking. And here you can see it's compared to the earthworks on the yellow, the stockpile is in blue, and then I see all the numbers there. What powers this is the ability to upload your CAD drawings. So here you have a CAD drawing, which is a land XML file, which shows the proposed or the engineered finished grade of the earthworks. And so every time the drone flies, you're able to compare the elevation of the drone data compared to the civil engineering drawing that's loading here. It just becomes very, very powerful. All right. So coming back here, we talked about downloading data to your desktop, but I want to show another important integration, which is direct uploading your data if you already have an ArcGIS Online or an ArcGIS Enterprise account. This is the mode where you can push data to your ArcGIS directly from SiteScan. So if you have an existing ArcGIS workflow, this is an incredibly important tool for you because you're not having to bounce this heavy data down on your desktop and then back up into the cloud or your own enterprise. This makes a point-to-point connection between your flights in SiteScan and your ArcGIS projects. All right, so let's talk about this. After the drone data has been processed, what goes on inside of ArcGIS? Well, there are tons of analytics that you can now perform on this data now that it has been processed. ArcGIS takes in data from all over. We talked about that before. It helps you make better decisions. In the next slide, we talk about imagery as an enterprise data asset. If you're an organization, you have lots of enterprise data assets. Your laptops are enterprise assets. Your vehicles are enterprise assets. Please consider your digital data, your imagery that's coming in from your drone collections as enterprise assets. This is just as important to make decisions as your financial records in your database. So it's important to think about where this data is being held, how this data is being accessed, because the more accessible this data is within your organization, the more beneficial it is for you. And so once your data is stored within your ArcGIS, we have several different ways to use this data. We have reality mapping, we can create analysis and observations, we can do spatial pattern detection over time. All of this becomes empowered once you have everything managed as an enterprise data asset. So there are three key concepts on the next slide that I want y'all to remember. If you remember anything about imagery in ArcGIS, here are the three most important things. Organize your imagery and raster data. Think about where these drone collections are going and where the orthomosaics, point clouds, and 3D meshes are being stored so that they're better accessible. You want to make it accessible to the people who need it. This might be people on the project, but this is also stakeholders. It could be the financiers of the project. There are many different ways that you can share this data with different permissions so that it is as accessible as possible. And then you need to visualize and analyze it to answer questions. Just showing a picture of a site is one thing, but using analysis tools within ArcGIS just can make that even better. Let's talk about one. On the next slide is GeoAI. ESRI has invested a lot into GeoAI, so it's geospatially enriched artificial intelligence. GeoAI works with a bunch of different data types, but what I'm going to be talking about is the process data coming off of the drone collections. On the next slide, we have a deep learning workflow. So this is a workflow that is already available within ArcGIS. So you have your image management. We just talked about that. None of this works if your imagery is not managed properly, okay? So you have your image management, and then we have labeling, data prep, and training models. You can do this on your own, maybe if you have a very specific thing that you want to train a model on, or ESRI has tons of pre-trained AI models that are already available for you to just click and run within ArcGIS. In addition, you can take a pre-trained AI model and manipulate it to your custom data. A very common use case is taking a building footprint model from ESRI that we have pre-trained for the US, Europe, India, but maybe you're in South Africa and buildings look a little bit different in South Africa than they do in other parts of the world. You can take a pre-trained AI model from any part of the world and then train it using a smaller subset of South African building footprints. And now you have a South African building footprint model. You can adjust it for your needs, and we provide you the tools to do that. Once you have that, you have immediate analysis to derive insights. You can put these insights into dashboards and share those results with your organization. When I talk about dashboards or experience builders, these are products that we include, which are essentially no-code ways of showcasing the data that you have collected, processed, and derived. So in the next slide, we're going to talk about an example of this. So this is a port authority who use regular drone captures to monitor cracks on roads and parking structures. So you can see here in red, we had a pre-trained GeoAI model that automatically detected a bunch of cracks on this road. You can see those cracks in red as polylines, and I can click on the road and then immediately see the raw drone photo that was used to create this orthomosaic that you see. So the orthomosaic is obviously going to be a high resolution asset, but sometimes you really want to look at the individual raw photos to see maybe different perspectives or slightly higher resolution versions of this data. And that's what we're doing right here. So we can use a drone dock to capture data. We can run it through our analysis pipeline automatically. And now our back office has the ability to zoom in and inspect the infrastructure without really having to know where the data is coming from. Here's another example of the same process being done on a new subdivision development. In this case, we are regularly monitoring this subdivision development and then tracking how many houses have been constructed, which houses are finished, currently being constructed, or not started yet. And we're also tracking how much asphalt is being poured in those blue areas. So we're tracking all of those in one single dashboard using the power of autonomous drones, autonomous data collection and processing, and then pre-trained GeoAI models inside of ArcGIS.
Awesome. I think that was a great presentation, Jemma, on the AI side of it and what we can do once that data is in. So we've covered today how we used to do things. Now the drone docs in here, and we're still using the old workflow. So we can now adopt this integration. And anybody who's using DJI Dock 1, 2, 3, specifically Dock 2, Dock 3, this is a very seamless workflow. If you're using any other hardware drone dock, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to collaborate with you and see how we can bring that integration for you as well. And then, of course, you can use the entire ESRI product base with ArcGIS site scan to do autonomous inspections and leverage Geo AI to have those analysis. So with that, we are almost at the end of that session. We'll probably spend like a couple of minutes or more than that for Q&A. So let me see if we have anything coming over here. And guys, if you want to put in, there's a Q&A tab. You can use that. You can also use the chat box and put it over there. So let me take one. So can you set up an automated change detection between survey periods? Jeremiah, will you be able to take that one?
Yes. So there are a couple of different ways to do change detection. So change detection can be done using a swipe tool, like I showed inside of SiteScan. You can run a change detection tool if you already use ArcGIS. If you have an ArcGIS license, you can run a change detection tool, and it'll show you highlighted areas in the data where it's changed. Or you can use the results of a Geo AI model to look at change. So in that last demo that I showed, where we're showing buildings being constructed over time, we're not necessarily highlighting pixels that have changed, but we're highlighting Geo AI boxes that have changed over time in order to get the change detection done there.
Great.
And I guess that first part of your question was automated. Yes, this can be automated.
Yes. Great. There's one more, probably I can take that. Somebody's asking, our facilities have strict no-fly zones. Can you work around those? Yes, really interesting and good question there. So we have been flying a lot on oil reserves, oil field, and you need those kind of ways where drone is strictly no to fly over those kind of assets. So Flightbase provides you the entire workflow where you can mark those no-fly zones. Those are stored on the drone. So even if the connectivity is lost, drone does not go inside in those areas. And you can work around those. Even from returning back to the home, if you're flying and there are multiple no-fly zone, it autonomously plans the entire flight plan to come back to the docking station and land. So definitely you can do that. There's a question for the purchase of this. So this is an additional license that would need to be purchased through Flightbase. If you have the Flightbase and SiteScan, you would need the SiteScan link from Flightbase. There's a small cost to it, and you'll be able to use that. If you'd like to have a free trial of this, please reach out to our team and we'd be happy to help. There have been image limit for SiteScan processing. Yeah, I don't know exactly about this. Jeremiah, you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, so right now we have a image limit of 2,500 images. This is currently being worked. We have a brand new engine that was just put into SiteScan that can handle a lot more horsepower. This is being tested with some beta customers so that we can hope to remove this image limit in the future, near future.
Great. Awesome. I think we are up on the time, and those were some questions in the Q&A. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. And thank you, Jeremiah, for preparing this and working with this through the entire week and getting this presentation out. It was a great chat. You wanted to keep it very short, so it's entirely jam-packed with the information that everybody can take from here and start implementing. We'll probably put in our LinkedIn here. So Jeremiah, if you want to just put in your LinkedIn in the chat box, people can connect later for any questions or any questions they wanted to ask, but they can put in here. So we'll put here, and of course we'll share the recording with everybody who attended. So you'll see all those videos and everything right here. So yeah, there goes my LinkedIn as well. So great. Thank you so much. Any last thoughts, Sarah, before we close the session?
No, I'm here and happy. There's my LinkedIn there in the chat. Feel free to hit me up and send me messages if you have any questions. Thank you for hosting, Achal.
Yep. Thank you so much for this webinar, Sharma. That was great, insightful. And yeah, thank you, everybody. Have a great day ahead or a great night wherever you're joining from. And we'll see you in the next session. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Right.